The information in this video is provided for informational and educational purposes only.
Welcome to Dose of DeAnn, where you'll get a little shot of what my life is like living with SMA. I've had a disability my entire life, so you'd think I'd be good at being disabled, right? Well, there's a few areas where I still feel completely out of my element, but I'm trying to learn and grow, and that's why I'm doing my video on one of those topics that I've been really hesitant to talk about before. I'll let you know what that is right after a quick word from our sponsors.
This vlog was made possible by a sponsorship from Avexis, a clinical stage gene therapy company relentlessly focused on bringing gene therapy out of the lab and into the clinical setting for patients and families devastated by rare and life-threatening neurological genetic diseases. To understand how gene therapy is changing the way we see genetic diseases, check out exploregenetherapy.com. www.exploregenetherapy.com. Explore Gene Therapy is a resource for learning more about gene therapy, including its history and how it is being studied. Visit www.exploregenetherapy.com.
When you have a disability like SMA, there's lots of benefits and programs you may qualify for. And I never knew about a lot of them. I just kind of stumbled upon them as I went. So I wanted to make you guys aware of kind of what's out there. When I was younger, I remember someone saying, like, well, aren't you on SSI? And I didn't even know what that was. It stands for Supplemental Security Income, I believe. Yep. And it's a payment. It's a benefit that you receive if you have limited income and resources and are disabled. In Minnesota, there's also something called MSA, Minnesota Supplemental Assistance, which is just a little bit added on to that. SSI actually fluctuates with your income. I think they discount like $81 of your earnings or something weird like that. And then they decrease your SSI by 50 cents for every dollar you earn. So every month you have to report your wages to the Social Security Administration so they can determine what your SSI payment will be in like a month or something like that. That can be really frustrating because it can fluctuate so much. But after you've worked for a while, you qualify for something called SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. And this is a set amount based on your work history, I believe. And it doesn't fluctuate with your income, but there are still income limits. I actually received 2 SSDI payments. One is from my work history, and then when my dad retired, I qualified for what's called a DAC benefit, Disabled Adult Child. My dad has since passed away, and I do still receive this benefit. One myth is that if you receive SSDI, then you can't work. Well, that's not true. But there are guidelines and limitations on what you can earn. And to figure that out, it is kind of confusing. That's why I did what's called a benefit analysis. This is strictly through Minnesota. It's through a program called Goodwill Easter Seals. It was the Work Incentives Connection. And I believe most states have a variation of this. I don't know if you can see the flyer here. But I contacted them and they were able to meet with me. They collected all my information and they were able to meet with me and go through some of the guidelines. It's all rather confusing, so I'm not really going to get into a lot of detail. But I learned that if you earn over, I think it's like $880 a month, it qualifies as a trial work period month. And you get so many months of this trial work period before they reanalyze everything. And then there's a certain amount that you have to stay under to remain on your benefits. And by that I mean your SSDI. And if your SSDI gets cut, then your Medicare can also get cut after a certain period of time. I don't know. Medicaid also has income limitations, so I recommend checking into that. They have a little bit different way of calculating it, but if you do go over their income limits, a lot of states do have a buy-in that's available. I haven't had to deal with that, so I don't know quite how that works, but it's something to check into. The benefit analysis really did help me understand the guidelines and how things are calculated. So I highly recommend, if they have something like that in your state, to look into it. I'm going to put the links below for the Goodwill Easter Seals and the Work Incentive Connection. This, like I said, is exclusively for Minnesota, but check into your state. They probably have something similar. If you guys have specific questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below, or better yet, on the forums page where we can have a discussion. I'm not sure I can answer your questions, but I'll try the best I can. And that's really all I have for you today. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.